Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to sift through the noise and really pull out the crucial insights for you. So think about this for a second. How many times have you been stuck staring at a login screen, just trying desperately to remember that password?
hmm
Or maybe worse, you hear about another huge data breach and get that sinking feeling. Is my stuff safe? It's like this constant background anxiety we all live with online, isn't it?
It really is. Passwords.
Yeah.
They were supposed to protect us, but ironically, they've become, well, maybe our biggest vulnerability, a fundamental crack in how we access basically everything.
Exactly. And that's why today we're diving deep into Key9 Identity. Now, this isn't just another tech company. They're taking a really pioneering approach. They're aiming to completely shake up identity and access management, IAM. So our mission today is to really unpack why passwords are so fundamentally broken. Then explain passkeys. What are they? Why are they the future? We'll look at what Key9 is trying to do with its unique platform, understand the massive market growth happening here, and learn about the very experienced team making it happen.
Yeah, and by the end of this, you should have a really clear picture of why the world is moving past passwords, how companies like Key9 are actually leading that charge, and, what that means for you, for your own digital life, maybe even for your business. It's a big shift, and it's happening now.
Okay, let's unpack this then. It really feels like for decades we've just been slapping Band-Aids on this core security flaw, just trying to patch things up.
Mm.
The hard truth, though, is that the old username and password combo, it's fundamentally vulnerable. It's become a huge liability, really, for everyone involved.
You called it a core flaw, and that's exactly right. The statistics are frankly pretty shocking. Over 80% of all security breaches happen because of weak or reused or stolen passwords. Just let that sink in. The vast majority of cyber attacks exploit this one kind of outdated weak point.
And it's not just small businesses getting hit, right? We're talking big names.
Yeah.
Our sources mentioned that a quarter of the S&P 500 companies,
Yeah.
the huge ones, have had their single sign-on credentials, their SSO logins, exposed and actually sold on the dark web.
Yeah, that's a massive number. It really shows just how widespread this vulnerability is, even with systems meant to simplify logins.
So to try and fix this, we got multi-factor authentication, MFA.
Right. MFA came in to add that extra layer, and it was supposed to make things more secure, but it often made logging in way more complicated, more frustrating. It led to this thing experts are calling MFA fatigue.
Ah, yes. Heard about that.
Yeah, users just get bombarded with prompts, approvals. It's tiring. And crucially, even with MFA, lots of organizations have still been breached. It's clear it's not always the foolproof solution people hoped for. We've seen that play out.
Definitely. You just have to look at, real-world examples, like the breach suffered by Okta, a huge player in identity services.
Right.
It just hammers home how critical robust security is, and that, well, even sophisticated systems can be vulnerable if they're ultimately built on that shaky foundation of passwords.
Exactly. And that vulnerability, it leads to this enormous problem for companies. Corporate liability. Just storing passwords these days carries huge legal and reputational risks.
How so?
Well, think about it. If a company's password database gets breached, and it happens that stolen data is almost certainly going to be used to attack other organizations, it creates this massive ripple effect. And then when investigators trace back these widespread attacks, and, the root cause investigations, they might find it all started with that initial breach. That means huge legal trouble, massive financial hits for the company where it started. It's like a ticking time bomb for so many businesses.
Wow. Okay, so if passwords are that broken, where's the real change coming from? How do we actually secure our digital selves? Because this is where it gets really interesting. The whole foundation, the way we think about digital security, it's shifting.
Mm-hmm.
And Key9 Identity seems to be right at the forefront. They're calling themselves the world's first identity provider, an IDP, that runs entirely on passkeys.
That's right.
They were working in stealth mode, apparently, since September 2023, and just officially launched their platform on March 4th, 2025. This isn't just like a small update. It feels like a totally different way of doing things.
It absolutely is. Key9's main goal, their primary objective, is actually pretty straightforward. Make identity management much, much simpler.
Okay.
Their second goal, just as important though, was to build their platform entirely on open passwordless standards. Things like FIDO2, that's the sort of underlying tech protocol that makes passkeys work securely across different devices and services, and of course, passkeys themselves.
Right.
So While you see a lot of the older identity companies trying to kind of bolt on passwordless features onto their existing systems, Key9 did something fundamentally different. They built their entire system around passwordless from day one. No passwords involved, ever.
That's a huge difference in approach. And it lets them use what's called a zero trust model, right? What does that actually mean, zero trust, in this context? How does it set Key9 apart?
It basically means trust nothing, verify everything, always. So Key9, as a zero trust company, relies entirely on public key cryptography. Their CEO, Champ Clark III, actually said something that sums it up perfectly. He said, unlike our competitors, we began with a zero trust model. Our design is significantly more secure since we don't have passwords to steal, as we like to say. We don't keep secrets.
We don't keep secrets. I like that. It's memorable.
It's more than memorable. It's a core part of their security architecture.
Okay, so let's break down passkeys then. For listeners who maybe aren't super technical, we hear the term, but what are they? How do they actually work for the average person?
Right. So think of Passkeys as these open, universal standards for logging in without a password. And they're backed by, like, all the big tech players: Microsoft, Google, Apple, Mozilla.
Okay.
Instead of that password you struggle to remember, Passkeys use a unique cryptographic credential. It's basically a secret digital key, and it's tied directly to your specific device, your phone, your laptop, whatever.
So what's the experience like when I go to log into something? What happens differently?
For you, the user, it becomes incredibly easy and fast. You might just use your fingerprint or, face scan on your phone, or maybe tap a little hardware key.
Simple.
Yeah, super simple. And that multi-factor authentication, the extra step that used to be annoying, is just built right in, seamlessly part of that one quick action. So no more digging through password managers, no more trying to remember P at sword 123, and definitely no more frustrating password resets. It's meant to be almost instant, frictionless.
Okay, that sounds good for users.
Actually,
What about for companies? We talked about the risks of passwords, but what's the upside for a business adopting passkeys?
Oh, the benefits for businesses are huge. First off, productivity. It practically eliminates password resets. There's an estimate that resets waste something like 11 hours per employee every year.
Wow, that much.
Yeah. And think about the IT help desk. Password reset calls can take up like 20% to 50% of their time. Freeing that up is massive.
Huge cost saving there.
Definitely. And then there's the core security benefit. Remember that 81% of cyber attacks involve stolen credentials.
Right.
Well, if there are no traditional passwords to steal in the first place, you dramatically shrink that main attack surface. It makes the business much harder to breach.
Okay, that brings us back to Key9's no secrets idea and that corporate liability thing. How does the passkey tech specifically address that risk for a company?
This is where the public key cryptography part is really the game changer. So imagine you have two keys, right? A public key and a private key. The public key is like a secure mailbox slot anyone can drop a message in. Key9 or any passkey provider only ever sees this public key. But only you have the unique private key needed to open that mailbox and read the message. That private key stays securely locked on your device, your phone, your computer. It never leaves.
Ah, I see.
So even if a hacker somehow managed to break into a Passkey database, all they'd find are those public keys. And public keys alone, they're useless. You can't log in with them. You need the private key, which the hacker doesn't have.
So there's literally nothing valuable for them to steal from the company's side.
Exactly. No secrets stored by the company means no liability if breached. It fundamentally changes the risk equation and massively limits the damage from any potential incident. It's a completely different security posture.
Okay, so this technology shift is huge. What does it mean then, practically, for businesses looking to adopt this? Key9's platform sounds like it offers a way to actually implement this zero-trust model.
It does. Their platform isn't just about the core security, though. It's also designed to really improve how companies operate, their efficiency. It lets them give secure access to all their cloud apps using those open standards we talked about, SAML2, OpenID.
Yeah.
These are just ways different systems talk to each other securely about identity and, of course, passkeys.
So it works with existing stuff.
Yeah, it ensures broad compatibility, which is crucial, while bringing that top-level zero-trust security, especially as more companies move everything to the cloud.
And they seem focused on making it easy to manage, too, because new tech is only useful if people can actually, use it.
Absolutely. That user-centric design is key. Key9 put a lot of effort into simplifying how employees, partners, even customers get onboarded and manage their access. Reducing that friction is vital if you want people across an organization to actually adopt it.
Makes sense.
And to help with that adoption, they're offering free trials of the service. Lets companies try it out, see the difference for themselves before committing.
And I thought it was interesting, their commitment to nonprofits. That says something.
Yeah, that's really commendable. Key9 knows nonprofits do vital work, but are often, prime targets for cyber attacks because they might have fewer resources for security.
Right.
So Key9 offers its cloud identity services free to nonprofit organizations. It's a great way to help protect those groups and just spread good security practices where they're really needed. It shows a commitment beyond just profit.
So looking at the wider picture now, this isn't just Key9. This whole move away from passwords, it's part of a much bigger wave, right? The market for identity and access management, IAM, is projected to grow significantly.
Oh, significantly is putting it mildly. The projections for the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, for the IAM market between 2025 and 2030, they're hovering somewhere between 16% and 18%. That's really high sustained growth.
16 to 18%.
Wow. And it's not just hype. There are solid reasons behind it.
Yeah.
Real drivers pushing this market forward.
What are the main ones? What's fueling that kind of growth?
Well, first, just the ever-increasing worry about data security. Breaches are constantly in the news. Regulatory fines are going up. Companies have to invest more in protection.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second, the huge shift to the cloud. More apps, more data living outside the traditional company network means you need smarter, more flexible ways to manage who gets access to what. Odd perimeter security doesn't cut it.
Right.
And third, stricter regulations, things like GDPR, CCCA, they're forcing businesses everywhere to get much more serious about identity and access control to avoid really hefty penalties. So all these things together create this huge demand for advanced IAM solutions, especially secure, modern ones like Key9's.
It all sounds incredibly advanced, but like you said, execution is key. Who are the people behind Key9's? Let's talk about the team, the expertise driving this. Because a great idea needs a great team to make it real.
That's a crucial point. And what's really compelling here is that Key9 isn't just, talking theory. They have a team with a serious, proven track record in cybersecurity. At the helm is Champ Clark III, the CEO.
Okay, tell us about him. His background seems pretty relevant.
Extremely relevant. Champ Clark III, he's a very experienced CTO. He's actually built companies before, from the startup phase right through to successful exits, specifically tackling tough cybersecurity problems. He's known for pulling together and leading really high-performing teams to crack complex technical challenges.
So he knows how to build things that work and build companies.
Exactly. And his vision for Key9 is very direct. He's quoted saying, "Passwords are a thing of the past. With the launch of our platform, we're empowering businesses to protect their digital assets and users without compromising convenience or security. This is the future of authentication." He's not mincing words.
No, that's pretty clear. And it's not just him, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole team.
Right. It's not a one-person show. The wider Key9 team is made up of seasoned engineers, developers, business folks, people who've successfully built and delivered security software and services before. They've worked with everyone from small businesses right up to Fortune 100 giants.
That's quite a range.
It is. And significantly, this team has a history of building companies from the ground up and seeing them through to acquisition. That tells you a lot about their ability not just to innovate, but to actually execute and build something sustainable and valuable in this really critical, really complex field.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We started with the, frankly, depressing reality of passwords, how frustrating and insecure they are. And we've journeyed towards this vision of a secure, really convenient future enabled by Passkeys and driven by companies like Key9 Identity. They really do seem unique as the first fully Passkey-powered zero-trust IDP built specifically for this new era.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is that this goes beyond just fixing a security flaw or removing an annoyance. It's about fundamentally changing how we establish trust online. Just imagine, how could this shift to truly passwordless authentication change your everyday interactions with tech? Making things smoother, yes, but also profoundly more secure than you probably thought possible.
That really does raise a big question, doesn't it? In this world where our digital identity is everything, how might embracing a fully passwordless future totally redefine what it means for organizations to handle access, to handle liability? what new opportunities or maybe even new challenges will pop up as this becomes the norm. It feels like a future that's arriving fast.
It certainly does. A future worth watching very closely.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope you've gained some valuable insights into this exciting and, frankly, essential shift toward a passwordless world.